What's up guys and welcome back to the channel. I'm Andy the Middle-Aged Gamer and this is the officially licensed by Umarex and manufactured by VFC HK 416A5 V3 GBBR review. Now, as always, let's stick the usual disclosures on screen now. And, well, I've got my drink, hopefully you've got yours. Let's jump right in. Okay, so let's start at the very beginning. At the end of 2023, VFC announced to the world that they are going to release the new V3 GBBR system. And their first GBBR to benefit from this brand new system would be arguably the most successful GBBR that VFC have ever produced. And that is the HK 416A5. To celebrate the launch of the 416A5 V3 GBBR, VFC would launch two versions, a special edition and a standard edition. Now, with regards to the special edition, it was A, limited to about 1,000 units, which sold out 3 days after it went up for pre-order. B, it was about twice the price at launch of what this GBBR was, coming in at around £990 prior to shipping and customs. And C would feature a full CNC upper and lower receiver, not forged, but full CNC'd. Now, in reality, this isn't a problem because A, it is limited to 1,000 units and the chances of getting hold of one at launch was pretty slim. And B, the standard edition features everything that the special edition had, except their receiver is cast and CNC finish, which VFC claim is their best yet, which we are going to be putting that to the test. Now, another reason it didn't really bother is the simple fact that today you can pick this one up, like I did, for around the £350 all in prior to customs fees. If you do get stung, I didn't on this model, but if you get stung with customs, it's going to be about £400 if you import it, like I did with mine. This has come from Action Airsoft in Taiwan, and I'm glad I did it that way, as the UK retail price for this GBBR as a standard edition is basically £600 or $599.99. You can see the markup there is quite considerable, right? And they're virtually identical. The only difference is one, an end pass is fitted to the UK. It's a tiny piece that's worth less than 2p to the company. And that's done in Taiwan prior to its shipping to Europe. And B, the Asia edition comes with all the markings, whereas the UK, EU, and US does not. And that's due to trademarks on the receiver there that you can see just up at the top. And I'll go over that being a legal issue over here. If you do that, it's a go to jail type of thing. So, yeah. Now, outside of that, you could purchase one from Taiwan like I did, bring it to the UK, fit an M-Pass, buy a few magazines for the price, and probably an optic as well, for the price of buying just the gun on its own here. And of course, if you do want the special edition, you can always go on to the How Industries and pick up a full CNC upper and lower receiver that's 7075 T6 billet aluminum, and that's been fully CNC'd, just the same as the special, and it would still come in for around about £1,000 all in. And that's still cheaper than what those special editions are now going for on the secondary market, which I did actually check prior to this, and it was going for about £3,000. A ridiculous price for something that you could easily build yourself for significantly less, again. Okay, so VFC made a big claim that this is better than every other version of it that they've ever done, and what's on the market being more realistic, etc. at this moment in time, although I do say what's coming from GHK is probably going to be even better, but we'll see. So, let's see what they did to improve it. Let's see if all their, how would you say, announcements are true, and well, let's start at the rear, work our way forward. Okay, so the first big change that VFC made was to the stock itself. Now, on the V2, they would use the same stock for the AEG and the GBBR. What that really meant was this was oversized to fit the AEG buffer tube, and that made the GBBR very loosey and not very good. And basically, they got rid of the locking latch here that was allowing you to access the back of the buffer tube where you would store your battery. Okay, so rather than have that, the real one doesn't. They pinned it off, so this no longer comes off. It was funny that with the V2, this latch would break, this would slide off under recoil while you were using it, and many just ripped it off and slung it because it was annoying. And you still find them out in the field today. But no, they pinned all this so it's all decently made. There is no bend or flex. It still has its adjustment lever right here, nicely recessed so it can't be accidentally bumped. And you do have your 5 position, which is really nice. And it's really positive, as you can hear. You do get your traditional sling point because H&K are always a little bit behind with adapting to the new modern accoutrement of AR-15s. And so we have a traditional one here, but we'll get to why that's not a bad thing in a minute. And yeah, you do have your HK logo right there, and you do have the hard plastic ribs right here and back of the actual butt pad itself, which is again hard plastic. So that's all fine. It does its job very well. It is a slimline stock, as the name suggests. And so, yeah, it does everything that we wanted it to do. Just absolutely brilliant. Now, moving on to the buffer tube. The buffer tube underneath is a traditional AR-15 mil-spec buffer tube. It's not a true H&K over-the-beach buffer tube. You can buy them separately for about 20 quid. I believe How Industries make them, and I believe there's several companies now doing that. That's entirely up to you. But to be honest, just having this buffer tube that comes with it is more than enough, because the over-the-beach stuff is useless in airsoft because, again, no one's going to see it, and you're not going to come out the sea like a Navy SEAL, not with an airsoft gun where your BBs are going to swell and not work. Everything's just going to get completely rusted because this is not like the real one that's protected for salt water. So, yeah, just a bit silly. So, in that case, it's going to be up to you if you need it or not. So they said no, save some money, and we'll just put a standard AR-15 buffer tube on there, a true mil-spec one. Now, moving up to the castle nut. As you can tell, this is the A5 enhanced castle nut, so it's very much a large, chunky castle nut. And the reasoning behind that is if you drop this on its rear, this buffer tube will bend and flex with a traditional castle nut, which is only about 0.5 centimeter deep anyway, like that size. That allows too much flex to get micro fractures, or stress fractures as they call it, or even crack completely. And of course, stress fractures under actual load with recoil and everything working can crack. And on the real one, like I say, that would just explode, your gun's out of action. On airsoft, of course, they've replicated it properly because, again, it can cause problems. I've seen buffer tubes crack because people have dropped their guns or abused them wrong. Okay? So, just an FYI there. Now, when it comes down to it, we have our sling loop here. As you can see, it is the H&K fully ambi sling point. You have one on the left, one on the right. It's quite nice for a backplate, and it's nice, big, thick steel. It's not going to go anywhere, and you can use that reliably should you wish, which is another reason why it doesn't bother if you have one up at the rear. It's up to you. All right. So let's move on to the receiver itself. The upper and lower receiver is a new cut for the A5, and this is basically VFC's best work to date. Straight away, you can see the actual two align perfectly. There is no more bend or flex. With the V1, you had a lot of wobble between the upper and lower that would develop straight away. The V2, well, you'd get a good 6 or 7 openings of the receiver before you start to see some flexibility between the upper and lower, and then you would need an AccuWedge or a advanced Ratec pin for the front or something like that to eliminate that wobble. Annoying? Yes. Now, we'll get into the receiver in a minute. Let's do what we normally do, and let's get to the grip and work our way up. So again, with this grip, you do have the A5 grip, which changed from the Delta. They got rid of the little finger spacer up here, and now it is just one of the best grips on the market. It feels nice, it feels full in the hands, and believe it or not, when we do our upgrade video that's coming next, I am not going to replace this because I don't need to, okay? This does feature your nice little hidden compartment at the bottom, which you just twist this little adjustment bit there, that one does it, and you can fit any batteries, cleaning kit, or anything in there that you need while you're out on the field, especially on a long day. It's nice. Little storage point. The grip itself is nice and textured. It feels just right. It doesn't destroy your skin on your hands if you're running without gloves. So it's really comfortable. Now, moving on up, they did, obviously for the A5, change the trigger guard from a straight one, which the Delta used to have. And now you have this nice bowed, enlarged trigger guard, plenty of space for your finger, and it allows you to get to that trigger very well. So what we're going to do is just remove that magazine for now, and let's show you that trigger, shall we? So straight away, I can tell you that this trigger is a single stage mil-spec trigger. If I pull on the trigger just like that, you can see it gets to 1, 2 millimeter, 3, there's the brake, 4 is your over travel. Reset is 1, 2, there's at 3, and then easy to go. Now, because this is a mil-spec trigger, you're looking about 5.5 pounds of pull on this thing. It's a heavy trigger. It is military designed. We might be changing that coming soon. Now, moving on up, we do have our standard AR-15 controls. Now, the 416 is basically a product of a G36 and an AR-15. Oh, making a baby. So here you go. G36 gas system, short stroke, and you've got all the AR. So this was designed, obviously, we know the history of the 416. If you haven't, then I do suggest Forgotten Weapons or listening to Larry Vickers. He's amazing on it, and he should be, because he helped bring this to the real world. Having seen it in the CEO's office as a blueprint on the wall, he basically talked to them and he said, look, let me go back, as he worked with the US government on procurement and weapon design. He basically talked to the right people, and, well, here we go. The 416 is a real thing. Now, of course, your controls, standard AR, as you can hear, nice, clicks in, doesn't accidentally get bumped like others, okay? Now, I like it, I really do. You get safe, semi, fun mode. But yeah, you do have the typical HK markings there. They're really nice and deep. Let's bring that up for you. You can actually see that they're engraved in and then filled in. It's just really nice with the color. The actual selector levers are polymer on the outside with a steel core, and it is fully ambidextrous, so you do have one matching on the other side. Now, moving on up, when it comes to it, we do have a extended or enlarged bolt release / hold open, which is great. And of course, to accommodate this bigger paddle, you do have this actual big wall added in there of material, where everything else has been nice and thinned down as possible. They added the material here to protect it. So it means that when you put the gun down on that side, you don't accidentally drop the bolt and chamber a live round. If you left your magazine in, for instance, it's annoying. Or if you've got it on your gear, you don't accidentally bump it and, well, you're dropping the bolt when you didn't intend to. So that's cool, but as this is fully ambidextrous, you can see me moving it here. There is the other side, which is really good. Speaking of which, let's move down, and we do have this mag release here, which is your ambidextrous mag release. It is a more complicated system than others that have decided to adopt a ambi mag release, but it works and it's really good. Now, of course, that leads us to the magwell itself. The magwell here is the new 45-degree type of cut, which was designed to fit PMags of various varieties as well as other Stanags of different companies, and that just works better for them. And that, I can't argue, it's just really good. Now, with the V2 and the V1, the magazines would fit fine-ish, but it would have issues feeding and so on with PMags, early ones, especially the old V2 ones and the V1s or whatever you want to call it. But with the new V3 stuff, this thing runs whatever mag you put in it, it's going to run all day long. And that's really good. I like that. It's just a better fit, better feeding, just really cool. Now, let's speak about the mag. So if I put that there, let's bring out the magazine. So this is the magazine that was supplied with my V3. And to be honest with you, if you own a V2 or a V1, yeah, nothing's changed. This is the exact same magazine. You can see it here, how your fill valve's still here, But up at the top, you'll notice the differences between a V3 and a V2. Why do I say that? Well, here is a V3 and there is a V2. Yeah, there is considerably more noticeably more difference between the two. So just FYI right there. Now, you do get your markings, which are there. Let's see if we can get in there. Restricted, for law enforcement, government use only. You do get your caliber, 5.56 by 45. You do get your H and K, nicely labeled on the base plate right there. And other than that, this is just a V2 magazine. They didn't change it. Their whole, I would say, costing went into the rifle itself to work rather than putting it into the magazine or trying to change something. But we'll see. Now, here, let's check the weight of this magazine. We'll zero it there. So the magazine comes in at 408.56 grams. Now, as you've seen the other one, let's compare it to a standard Stanag V3. Well, you're saving yourself 28.5 grams, give it all 28 grams, let's round it. Okay, now obviously that's my BCM one. I do have a standard grey version of this, but yeah. Now, a lot of the issues with the magazines came down to two things. Now, let's start with what I've seen. I believe Bada Bing had a problem with his, and that was the lockback issue with his V3. Remember, the internals of this is now different. So this magazine hasn't been built for this. It was built for the V2 and the V1. They just use this as a, it works, let's just go with it. But the main differences are going to be, as you can see here, put these side by side. The V3 is substantially larger. You can see that right here. And the V2 is narrow. What I would suggest, if you are interested in changing this out and fitting, I should say, making it a V3, so it works with all your HK stuff, then what I would do is just take these two screws out, take this out, and there's a little pins here, and remove the top bit here. If you remove the top, replace it with a V3 one, you will basically be able to do that if you wish to run it as a V3 magazine, and that's up to you. If you want lockback, if you're having lockback issues, well, that's your reason. That's recessed slightly up, and this has got more material to lift that arm, and this is also being shorter, which if I show you here, both side by side, you can see it's significantly larger, enough to make a difference, an actual difference there. And that is basically with this shot, they both have the same follower springs, but this has got more power behind it than this. And that means that this has got more power to lift up than that. And having more material just means that the V3 magazines will perform significantly better in this, in the cold weather, than these will. Okay, but these are bigger, have a larger reservoir, which will mean that if you use this and you've tuned your gun to these, this will give you an extra 10 to 30 FPS boost, depending on the temperature at the time. And that is significantly a lot. Let's put it right. And so you could be over the sight limit. So again, if you're going to run it, pick your magazine and use it, or do what I would suggest, and that's tune it to fit a nice medium in between the both magazines. And that'll work, because as you pull the first trigger, it's always pokey on the first round, and then they start to drop. So that's up to you. But again, that's the magazine side. VFC, I would say, just oversighted it, and we'll leave it at that. Now, let's get back to the gun itself. Okay, so like I said, I got mine in Asia. So if we take a look at the magwell, we have the markings HK416, the caliber, which is all correct. We do have the HK stamp, and we have our serial number for the lower, which does match the upper. But right here on the upper, you can see the official proof markings, which are missing on the UK. You will get the HK, but you won't get all the little proof markings there, because they are government-issued proof markings on the real one, or government-controlled proof houses, depending. Okay? So you got German acceptance markings and so on. And that's really important going forward. You need to understand, for the UK, we can't have them, but the Asian you can. And I have seen UK sites advertising the Asia edition, although, well, using the photos to advertise the UK edition of the Asia, but when you get it, it doesn't have them. People have complained. That's why. Okay. Now, moving on up, your charging handle, like I say, is H&K's design. You do have the extended arm here. It can be, if I use my finger here to lock that up, there you go. If I show you, there's a little pin there, punch that out, this will all come off. You can flick it to the other side should you wish. Now, the top sight is their enhanced battle sight. You can push that at the back and quickly detach it. If you want to put a magnifying glass up there for your optic or whatever, it's up to you how you want to run it. It is nice. Like I say, you can flip that up and you've got your windage knob right here, which you can see for your left and right. Your elevation, you just pull this disc up and twist it around. I don't know if I can get you that, but you can see it. It shows you the two arrows on there, showing you which way to turn it to go up or down. Okay. It's up to you if you want to take this off or leave it on. I leave mine on just for looks, but it's nice to have it and not need it, than need it and not have it there. Now, let's move on to the front. Obviously, again, like I say, H&K are always a little bit behind, but this was designed when the Mark 18 was at its peak. So you've got the quad rail right there, taking everything from the Delta, but slimlining it, making it a lot better, straightening up the angles of cut to give you more space. Just a beautiful rail that's going to cheese grate your hand because it is actually quite sharp. So just bear in mind. Now, I love it. It's held on with a single bolt right there that goes through, locks it onto the barrel nut itself at the side. So at the lower, should I say, and you can see it's very simple. Does what it's meant to do. Now, inside, we will show you they have replicated the gas system, and I love how they've done that when you can't see it through here properly, but we'll get to that. At the front here, you can see we have our gas block, and it is marked right there, which is normal and suppressed. So normal, and if you're running it suppressed, hit there, which reduces your gas flow because obviously this being a gas piston doesn't need as much gas to cycle it. So, yep, that's cool. And you're obviously going to have off if you're using a rifle grenade, but this is not set up for them, so it's just normal and suppressed. Okay, but in the airsoft world, this is not your gas for your gas regulator. It works as your hop. So if you want to remove hop, turn it standard clockwise. If you want to add more hop, turn it counterclockwise. You push a little flat bar across the barrel, or the outer barrel there, that pushes the arm right here up and down in your hop chamber. So just FYI, at the front you do have your bird cage there, which is 14mm CCW, just FYI, and just an absolute great thing. Now let's flip this around, show you the other side. Okay, we're going to get into that, but as you can see, everything has been mirrored. I added a little rail cover on this just to stop my pads of my fingers and that as I hold it from getting shredded. Trust me, it's painful. But yeah, you can see here Heckler & Koch, made in Germany. That would say licensed by, rather than the made in Germany bit. It would say licensed by and made in Taiwan. If you buy the UK, that's just legal reasons. But you can see when I got this unboxed, which you should have seen the unboxing by now, this had a warning sticker right here. I took that off, and even to this day, this stuff is rank. It's so sticky that even with, I've tried lemon juice, I've tried isopropyl alcohol, it just, yeah, getting it off is going to take time just to let it dry and become less tacky, and you can just peel it off. So sadly, I've got to live with that for a little while. Absolutely annoying. Moving up, there's your license trademark of Heckler & Koch GmbH, caliber 6mm BB. And you can see right there, you have your HK marking, and because this is polymer, it doesn't eat away at the finish of your bolt as much, so you don't get the white scratch here, which is great. And like I said, you do get your ambidextrous bolt release right there. Your standard mag release, which is normal. They didn't enlarge the mag release. And you do have your fire selector ambi side here, your forward assist. And that's about it. Okay, so why don't we do this? Let's get this all ready to go, loaded with BBs and gas, and let's take it to the range. Okay, so I'm using 0.25 gram BBs and green gas in the HK416 V3. Okay, that gives us a very good average, 359.7. It's above legal limits here for CQB, but an MPAS can sort that one out. Okay, let's take it back to 15 meters and let's see what she can do with the HK416 V3. Well, apart from needing to adjust my EOTech, yeah, that's nice. Alright, let's take the 416 back to about 10 meters and let's see how good she is with the Texas Star. Brilliant. Okay, so FPS wise, it's nice, it's decent, it's more consistent than the V2. The V2 was all over the place, especially as like the bucking had to be broken in and depending on what gas and so on. It was a little bit of a weird one. And that was down to its firing pin. We'll get into that. But straight away, you can see it's basically 2.5 inches or just under 2.5 inches of grouping size from the furthest away. And then you got this nice grouping here. So yeah, apart from my EOTech being set differently, I did just slap this on for this review. So you be the judge there. But if I just adjusted it, you can see what grouping it is. This is a 6-inch card. So yeah, it's tiny, tiny, tiny. Brilliant. Now, as always, as per YouTube T's and C's, I've gone ahead and disassembled this off camera. And right now, let's take a look at what they did. So let's start with the stock. Like I say, this is just their standard system. It's completely nice and rigid. It does its job. There's not really much more there to it, but it is a lot better than the previous version. Now, let's take a look at the lower. So as you can see, this is their V3 lower. Everything is nicely balanced this time. There's no play or slot within the hammer, which, believe it or not, I did actually have. There was side-to-side movement right here on the hammer occasionally. And of course, because this had the older firing pin, well, we all know the issues. We'll get to that in a second. So what they've done is CNC finish this correctly. So there is no slot between the upper and lower. Everything sits nice and correct. You can see the slight rises here are now done better. And that just holds everything nice and tight at the front end. The rear end is just well cut and well made. You can see your actual serial number in there for your receiver. And yeah, it's just a gorgeous actual piece of kit. You can see your ambidextrous bolt stop. You can see the new firing pin design and hammer there. And it just works. Just an absolute beautiful, very loud. Now, as you can see, I've not cleaned mine since I got it. I wanted to see how well it ran dirty. And right now, she's had more than, I think we're at 3,200 rounds, something like this, since my video that you saw for the unboxing of this. And to be honest with you, she looks great. So the finish is holding up way more than it used to, even with the lower charging handle for the A5. You can see the wear on it is minimal now. And I like a bit of wear because that shows battle worn. Every little scar and scratch tells a story, and that's important for every GBBR. You know, it just helps you. Now, let's talk about the differences. So you have the new firing pin. This firing pin is basically think of it this way, as a V-spring in a new T-shaped housing. So it's a drop-in, very easy, no springs to worry about. With the V2, it was you still need to take the pin out here and take this out to access it, but under here is a screw. I don't know if I can show it you, but we'll try to fit it. Get some light, but it is just, I don't know if I can show it, but in there is a small little screw in there, and that little hex screw you undo and the entire unit came out. You still did that with the V2, but the V2 only had a very complicated little piece that was no longer than this little lifting arm here, and it was about as narrow as that, and it had a conical compression spring underneath it that would fall off or get mangled. It was annoying. And if you used full auto more than a few times, that spring would go, then your firing pin would lock forward, and when your magazine went in, it wouldn't retract out the way enough and fit in line with the magazine knocker valve, and therefore you wouldn't get a discharge of gas. You just hear a little put sound effect, and it wouldn't work. You'd be wondering what was going on. You'd rack it again, it still wouldn't do it because the arm was stuck. And so you'd have to buy that spring, and that's £16 odd for a new spring. So VFC redesigned that entire system and dropped in a new T-shaped Lee spring. So like I say, it's like a spring that goes up with a hammerhead, and it's right there, the hammerhead bit. And you can see it just goes in. It's in line, it's on rails, it's fine. It's got a nice power to it, and when you fire it, yeah, it's a lot better. Now, your selector is there, which you've got your CO, which works really nice. So, really good. I'm happy with it. Now, let's show you what's steel, what's not. Well, takedown pins are steel. Magazine catch is steel. Steel for your bolt stop release and your bolt stop point there. Your arm. Your firing pin is steel. If I can just pull that back off. Bloody hell, that's strong. But yeah, that's nice. Very nice. Odyssey is steel. Springs are steel. As I said, that was steel. And guess what, guys? The trigger's steel. So all that steel. Your pins are steel there that go through. Oh, God. There is so much steel in this fire control group. The magnet's going crazy. And even your buffer retainer is steel. Brilliant. Steel sling loop. Steel castle nut. Brilliant. So, fantastic. You've got a lot of steel, just like the special edition. And now it is full. Remember, this is cheaper than the BCM. So, yeah. As I said, your buffer tube, if I can just get it to focus there, it has a single hole. The Over the Beach has a extra hole at the top and one either side here at the bottom, so water can drain out and you don't get hydrolock. So, yeah, sucks we don't have it, but hey, you know, this is Airsoft after all. Now, let's just get that out of the way. Now, of course, your buffer, which you can see here, you can hear that nice little shake weight. That's your anti-bounce heavy buffer. So if I push you out of the way, bring in you. We're going to need this in a minute anyway. So this is a heavy spring, heavy buffer with the shake weight. Let's zero the weight. Shows you what the weight of this is. 118 grams, which is fine. It's not really part of your recoil, but you will have it on the linear travel side. Let's move on to your bolt. They didn't change much with the buffer anyway, because that was working fine. Same with the bolt carrier. It's just tolerances, and as you can see, I've not cleaned mine. It's still very loose and liquidy, but definitely worn. But if I take you and I stand you on there, so we're 218. And given that the GHK full steel bolt carrier is 226, it's 8 gram difference. Is that enough to make a difference for you? No, not really. Not when your buffer on this is heavier than that. It kind of balances itself out because the buffer will be hitting your shoulder as it goes all the way back as well. So it's part of the mass. Okay. So your nozzle is the usual. You can see it there. M4 V3 nozzle on there. It's upside down, but you can read that. This is the HK one. But like I say, this one doesn't have an MPAS. That's why the FPS is high. I will be fitting one. I'll probably show you that as part of the upgrade. If I don't, there's plenty of videos, but I will try my best to do so. I do like that this is more tougher now. You can see here with the auto sear, it's not eating away. This will get rounded out in the old one, and then your auto sear will start having issues. But with this, nope. Where's my magnet? You do still get the steel bolt catch point on it. It is a zinc bolt carrier, and that's the thing. I do want to just take a second. The zinc bolt carrier for me is perfectly adequate for the UK. Steel bolt carriers are fine, but if you've not learned anything on this channel that we've been doing now for a few years together, guys, come on. A steel bolt carrier in a cold, low-pressure environment is not your best idea. It's not your best friend or a good bedfellow, as they say. Steel gets cold quick. Zinc can get cold quick. But steel really does not like to warm up very fast. Not without direct heat on it. And of course, with this being a compressed gas situation, it's cold. And it gets colder, of course, in weather as you people do tend to overfill the magazines and so on. But the whole point is, with this getting cold, with zinc, it loses that cold very quickly and stabilizes. So that's what you want. But you're not losing too much of the mass, the weight. It's why designers of airsoft go with this route rather than go a different way. I'm perfectly down for that. It works. It's all okay. But again, it is going to come down to you and your own personal preferences there. But for me, I think zinc is fine. Yes, if you do want to get a steel one, you can. But make sure that the O-ring, so that little bit there at the back, has been designed for cold weather and not the Asian weather, you know. In Asia, it's high humidity, high pressure, and warm. It's above 20 degrees 90% of the year, and most of the year it's in its 30s to 40s. I mean, I spent so long in Vietnam that I can tell you now, over there, pressures are just so high and so hot and humid that this thing is always going to run, even on duster gas, perfectly well. But you bring that to the UK, it's a much more colder climate, being further north of the equator, and of course, like I say, it rains, it's always down, so that cold, it's not going to warm up, and it's just going to chug, and you start having issues. So, at that point, putting a zinc bolt carrier can actually solve a lot of airsofters' issues just using zinc, but it's up to you and what you can live with. Now, I don't think there's any more steel, although, yes, your block here and your top is steel, so that's nice. It's got full steel up there. That's very nice to have all that steel. But yeah, everything else is zinc. Okay, let's move on to the next piece. So your charging handle, that's standard mil spec AR-15. Any will fit, but HKs are obviously the best, so let's stick with the HK. Now, again, they did work on your upper. Again, with the fit and finish of all this, they made it work better. So yes, even now, your dust cover does lock in, which is good. It's easy to get out, but it is locked in. You do have a mock forward assist. It's mock because there's no pin in there, but you can swap that out. It is a steel mock forward assist, just FYI. But yeah, in there is your hop chamber. And obviously you can access that if you need to by just undoing your barrel. And as you can see here, they have replicated the gas. And I loved how they made this so that you can't see where the hop adjustment arm is from the gas block. But if I bring it in close, you'll see here this very low It is a polymer, but very durable carbon type polymer in there. And it is patent pending, just written. That runs very close to the outer barrel, and it's all hidden in there. Goes through and into your hop. So yes, you can have this realistic, mock gas piston right here, but you still get your hop adjustment here at the front. So that's kind of cool. And yeah, if I wanted to, I can just undo the muzzle device here for you, if you can see it. But yes, their Pro barrel from VFC is fitted. It's a black one. We will be swapping that out in the upgrade. I've got a Unicorn. All the parts are pretty much here now, so that video shouldn't take too long to come out. But yeah, we have all that. It's just beautiful. Absolutely phenomenal. The work and craftsmanship that they've done on this has just been, yeah, it's out of this world. Just brilliant. And lastly, we have the pins here for your arm. So the screw itself is steel. These are just supports that go like this underneath, so they'll strap in and secure to the handguard. Right here is just a generic mil-spec A5 handguard. Okay. Alright guys, before we get into final thoughts and conclusions, hit that like button and subscribe if you're not subscribed already. Help me feed my family and put bigger and better airsoft toys on the table for you guys. Okay, so what are my thoughts on the 416A5 V3 GBBR from VFC? Well, as you guys know, I have a lot of baggage going into this review from the V1 and the V2s, the multiple V2s that I've owned. You've seen my last V2 on this channel a while ago. You can check that video out if you want to compare it. But all in all, VFC did claim that this is their best they've ever made. They've put more money, time and effort into this one to make it right. And being the first V3 GBBR that VFC made out of this new era, well, it had a big statement, and to be honest with you, I think they've nailed it. The stock being specific to a GBBR now means no play or slot. Brilliant. The buffer tube tolerances fitted even better now, so that's good. They've worked on that. The buffer and spring, that's basically the same from the V2. It's the anti-bounce heavy buffer. They've not changed it. They didn't need to, so that's fine. Save some money there. The bolt carrier itself, for all intents and purposes, is identical to the V2. They didn't need to change it. Apart from the coating of it, they've not need to change. And the coating is now a lot more durable. As you can tell, it doesn't scratch off where the HK marking is very easily with the dust cover. So that's good. The hop chamber has been basically the same, and it will fit in a V2, but they've obviously worked on the tolerances and made it just right. So everything just works. There's no slop. There's no loose parts, which is great. You can shake this, and the only rattling you'll hear is the shake weight inside the buffer, which is phenomenal. Just everything has been done better. And again, the firing pin being better, the new V3 system is just more reliable and is more durable. So I like that than the previous. I mean, as you can see, the dust cover stays closed now, unlike the previous versions, which would just pop open all the time randomly. It was annoying. So that's all cool. I do like what they've done. I think they've done a cracking job on this. But what I don't like is the price. Here in the UK, this retails for $599.99, which is a steep price. Yes, you're paying for H&K. But really, as you've seen, I ordered mine from Taiwan, and it is a 2025 built. It was literally from April of this year. It's that batch. And yeah, you know, it cost me $290 to $310 depending on the day that you buy it. It's about 60 quid for your shipping. So it'll be anywhere from $350, $370 to all in with shipping. And then of course, you run the risk of customs here in the UK, but even with the customs fee of 50 quid or £58 to be precise, because it's 20% the value of your gun, so thereabouts, give or take. Even with, you're still in the low 400s. You are nowhere near the £600. So what the hell's going on over here? I'm going to tell you this. Import it if you can. Because that's the right thing to do. Let's send a message to UK retailers to stop being so greedy and passing that greed from the wholesaler to them and all the other bits. Because that's what it is. A lot of it is you have a price in Asia, which then is shipped to the UK. So the UK wholesalers add that importation price. Then the retailer buys it from the wholesaler, adds their shipping and all the rest of it to it and all their taxes. And by the end of it, they add their profit, which is always get rich quick and forget the longevity of the sport and the hobby by being fair. Just get rich quick. If we close your doors tomorrow, you don't care. And that's negative for Airsoft. You know, it really is. Positivity-wise, they need to sort of like say, you know what? Let's keep it as minimum as we can. We make more money off the magazines, the BBs and the gas because, well, with BBs and gas, they usually have a deal in place with some suppliers that gets it in there extremely cheap. So they do make a massive amount. And again, with magazines, they sell them at double the price of what it costs to buy one in Asia. So, yeah, they make their money elsewhere. But now people are so greedy, they want it on the gun as well. And that basically means that getting people into the hobby is very hard, especially at these prices. So, my rant over there. The gun itself, phenomenal. If you can get hold of one, if you're in a country that allows you to import it, I would definitely suggest you do that. Buy yourself an M-Pass, whack that one in, and away you go. These Asian companies know what they're doing when they're trying to get it to you. They know all the loopholes they can to try and get you without fees, but even if you do, you're still saving yourself a significant amount of money. So that would be my advice. Hopefully you've enjoyed this review. Hopefully you've liked this and not taken the negative as to heart and just focus on the positive. This is just significantly better than before. And that's the most important. Right now, I really like it. And of course, people are going to say, well, you had the Guns Modify and the Guns Modify version, which sadly I let go at Christmas time. And that was down to putting bigger and better stuff on the table for you guys. Hence the itch to scratch to get another 416. And to be honest with you, this is going to be more comparable with what's coming from GHK. So stay tuned for that. But all in all, this is just the most realistic 416 on the market today that's certainly more affordable than ever before. And I would highly recommend you get hold of one if you can. So with that, I've been Andy, the Middle-Aged Gamer. You guys have been absolutely amazing as always, and I will see you in the next video.